Okay, Valerie is going to give us an example of an editorial pose. Now, as you can see here, her body composition is very exaggerated. That is definitely something that you want to do when you're thinking editorial. Typically, you'll have bad posture, which you definitely don't want to have when you're doing runway, but for print purposes, it's actually helpful. We're going to have exaggerated angles. So you can see how her hips are jutted out to one side. She has her shoulder up really high on the other with her arm resting on the top of her head. And then you can see how her other elbow is jutted out, exaggerated to the side there. Typically, the facial expression is going to be not very happy. So we don't want to say that you don't look happy, but maybe it's just not smiling. So you always want to be conscious of your facial expression. You don't want to look mean unnecessarily. It's more of a, what's the best way to put it? I would just say, yeah, just not in the best of moods, I guess. But you're really evoking a fantasy, you're evoking a feeling. It's going to be intensity. That's really overall what editorial is. It's very intense. It's not the most natural poses. Valerie, if you could, go ahead and let's look at another one. So you can see here that she's just kind of jutted her hips out to the side. She's got one shoulder rolled over in an exaggerated manner. Her face is intense. You're going to see that it's just very unnatural in posing, and that's really typical of editorial. You're not going to have that natural pose like you might have when we're talking about lifestyle in a little bit. It's just going to be, again, evoking a fantasy, a feeling. It's not going to be some way that you would pose in your everyday life, and it isn't necessarily going to translate into other types of images. It's very editorial specific. So with this style of posing, that's going to be the exaggerated, more fantasy, you're evoking this feeling in editorial. That is what the brands that have hired you are looking for. They want you to have this feeling that you're portraying to the people that are looking at these images in the magazine. That is how you are selling these clothing. Because remember, as a model, we are hired to sell. You don't ever want to lose sight of that. You don't ever want to forget that. So in this style of pose that Valerie's doing, it's going to make the clothes look a certain way on her body. It's going to make you feel like, oh my gosh, I want that. I want people to look at me and feel this way, the way that I'm feeling when I'm looking at these images. And that is essentially how, at the end of the day, the brands that you're hired to sell that is how they are attracting their customer. That's how they're talking to their customer. That's how you are able to do your job and just bringing out that feeling that the viewers that are looking at your images in the magazine, that's how they're feeling. So as you can see, Valerie's been adjusting herself a little bit because these are not poses that you're meant to hold for more than the click of a button. So as you're going through your photo shoots, you will be changing your poses periodically. So Valerie, let's change it up again. And then we're going to change it up again. And one more time. So as you can see, you're going to be constantly moving when you're on your photo shoots. You're not going to be holding one pose for very long. You want to keep the movement sort of fluid. The photographers are going to want you to constantly be moving. You're going to constantly be coming up with new poses. Now for editorial specifically, those poses are going to be more exaggerated. Like I said, they're going to have a different intensity. They're not going to be natural. You're not going to feel relaxed. Basically, you think to yourself, this is completely uncomfortable. That's going to be the best shot that you're going to get that day. It's going to be the one where you think, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is crazy. But that's going to be your best shot. It's never going to be what you expect. And that is why I can't stress enough that you really, really want to practice in front of a mirror. Practice with a friend at home taking photos of you, even if it's just on your phone or on your tablet. You want to make sure that you can see your reference points, that you know your angles, because everybody's angles are going to be different. So the poses that Valerie has been showing us here, she knows her angles. She's been in the business for the last 8 years, and at this point she's fairly confident in her posing and knowing her angles and knowing what her good side is and knowing how to get a great photo. And with time, you will get to that level as well. It just takes practice. And if editorial is something that you want to do or something that you feel is your strong suit, then by all means, take it to the next level and keep practicing. It's so important. Wear different outfits. Try it out in different locations. It's fun to practice. It's fun to get into this fantasy world.